Good evening and welcome to the Village of Bartlett Board meeting for April 21st, 2015. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Ahrens? Here. Kammerer? Here. Carbonaro?
Here.
Martin?
Here.
Ranke?
Here.
Shipman?
Here.
President Wallace?
Here. We have a special guest for the invocation this evening, live from somewhere in Florida, Senior Chaplain Mark Shipman, brother of Trustee Eric Shipman from Blackwater River Correctional Facility. Is he on yet?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's see if the volume can...
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Let's see if we can raise the volume. And
Good?
we're going to check the volume,
Okay.
Chaplain.
It's that damn filter again.
Shower filter.
Is he in the shower?
I don't know.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
All right. Please stand for the invocation.
Thank you. Precious Father in heaven, what a privilege we have to come before you and ask for your blessing and your guidance. We thank you, Father, for those who have served and led this village with honor and distinction and are serving. And we thank you for those who will soon be serving with like honor and distinction. I ask your blessings will be poured out. May our lives be different, our relationships better, and endeavors prosperous. Now let your face shine upon us and give us peace. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chaplain Shipman.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a action-packed agenda. Move along to the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk will be considered routine and acted in one motion. At this point, is there anything that anyone would like to add to the consent agenda?
Mr. President, I'd like to add item C3 to the consent agenda.
Okay. Anything else? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended consent agenda, including the minutes from 2015-16 budget review, board and committee minutes, the bills list. We have Seasons Produce and Specialty Market Special Use Amendment. We have a sale of 2015 IRB volume cap. Bartlett Park District Apple Blossom Run permit request. And then added item C3 under Finance and Golf Professional Services contract.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Trustee Shipman, seconded by Trustee Martin. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Ahrens? Yes. Kammerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranke?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes. That motion carries. Next item we have is under the Treasurer's Report. Belong to Jeff. You have some good information for us?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll start out this evening with the sales tax report for the fiscal month ended February 2015. Fiscal year-to-date revenue, $1,804,119, and it represents a 0.96% increase over the same time period last year. Moving on to the motor fuel tax allotment report, through March 2015, fiscal year-to-date revenue, $914,048, and it represents a 2.90% decrease from the same time period last year. You'll see that in March of 2015, the allotment that we received from the state is down quite a bit, and that's because of the fund sweep that occurred last month through the governor's budget proposal.
That's it. Okay. We do have to go back and approve the amended consent agenda. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes. Motion carries. All right, moving right along to President's Report. We have several recognitions. I can gather them all here. Beginning of the term, I enacted something called Bartlett's Best, and this evening I'm going to read a proclamation for Derek Struing in recognition as what we would consider Bartlett's Best, representing Bartlett extremely with honor and in a global way, it sounds like. So, a proclamation recognizing Deaflympian Derek Struing as Bartlett's Best. Whereas the official closing ceremony of the 2015 Winter Deaflympics, in which 344 athletes from 27 countries competed, was held earlier this month in Khanty-Mansiek, Russia. Did I come close? And whereas Bartlett, Illinois was proudly represented in these games by 17-year-old Derek Struing, one of the youngest players to make the roster of the American Hearing Impaired Hockey Association USA men's team. And whereas Derek, who has been skating since age 3, was chosen to round out the geographically diverse U.S. team of players from 13 different states during tryouts in Buffalo, New York, and Toronto, Canada last August. And whereas this talented and hard-working group of young men, who all have hearing loss of at least 55 dB in the better ear and play without assistive devices, including no hearing aids or cochlear implants, outscored their opponents 37-18 over 5 games and finished the 18th Winter Deaflympics by beating Finland 6-5 to claim the bronze medal. And whereas Struing, a South Elgin High School junior and a forward on the Geneva Cyclones hockey team, scored 2 of the 6 goals to help bring home the bronze for Team USA. And whereas this fine athlete, with his unstoppable spirit, energy, and enthusiasm, brings only pride to his teams, his family, and our community. Now, therefore, I, Kevin Wallace, President of the Village of Bartlett, Cook, DuPage, and Kane counties, do hereby give high fives to this young hockey player and proudly proclaim Derek Struing as one of Bartlett's best. Next proclamation is for Building Safety Month. Village of Bartlett Building Safety Month proclamation. Whereas the Village of Bartlett's continuing efforts to address the critical issues of safety, energy efficiency, and resilience in the built environment that affect our citizens, both everyday life and times of natural disaster, give us confidence that our structures are safe and sound. And whereas building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, and others in the construction industry work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, and earthquakes, and whereas Building Safety Month reminds the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety and our local code of officials, who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings. And whereas resilient communities start with building codes, the theme of the Building Safety Month 2015 encourages all Americans to raise awareness of building safe and resilient construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, backyard safety, energy efficiency in the construction industry. Appropriate action can ensure that the places where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are safe. And whereas each year in observance of the Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider projects to improve building safety and sustainability at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all by local and state building departments and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Therefore, I, Kevin Wallace, President of the Village of Bartlett, Cook, DuPage, Kane counties proclaim the month of May 15th as Building Safety Month in the Village of Bartlett. Your agenda might show a couple of recognitions for our outgoing trustees. We're going to actually move those to the end of the agenda, so that will be right after question and answer. So. Here's the roll call. Okay. The Arts in Bartlett.
Yes.
Okay, next on the President's report, we have Arts in Bartlett requesting a Class D liquor license, which requires the board's consent. I would ask that the clerk please call the roll.
So you need a motion.
A motion.
Consent. to the
Consent.
So moved.
Issue.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Martin, seconded by Trustee Kammerer. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Kammerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our item, we have a list of liquor license renewals that I intend to renew, which are a very lengthy list. We have Bartlett Hills Golf Course, Bratz Place, Bartlett Park District, the Oak Room, Bartlett Park District Apple Orchard Golf Course, Hanover Township, Friedman Enterprises, Inc., doing business as Bannerman Sport Grill, Highland Park CVS, doing business as CVS Pharmacy, Pasta Mia, Tasty Pizza, doing business as Marco's Pizza, Pajiv Inc., doing business as Mr. Quick Easy Food, J. La Krupa, doing business as Suburbia Liquor, Bartlett Park District, Villa Olivia, Claire Oaks Retirement Community, the Bartlett Volunteer Fire Association, Stella's, Stern Crossing, doing business as Stella's Place, Shelby's, Brewster Creek, doing business as Shelby's, Blackhawk Restaurant Group, doing business as Betty's Bistro, and Cadillac Ranch, Texas Barbecue and Boot Bar, doing business as Cadillac Ranch / Moretti's Ranch, Cadillac Ranch, Texas Barbecue and Boot Bar, doing business as Moretti's / Cadillac Ranch. And if there's no objections, I intend to issue those liquor licenses. That's a lot of talking. Okay. So those two are for Trustee Martin and Trustee Shipman. We're going to move those to the end because I think they have a few things they want to say. So. All right. Moving on to question and answer. Is there anything the board has for the staff at this point?
Actually, I do. I didn't want to hold up the bills list, but as I went over the bills list, I think the staff, obviously, and the departments do a great job of trying to keep business in-house, so to speak, in Bartlett. I certainly don't want us to be isolationists, but I certainly think we need to support our businesses in town, which I think the village does, for the most part, very well. However, as I was going through the list, we do have a new auto parts store that's opened. It's been open for 2 months, and I think we know that. But there was no purchases from that over the last month at that AutoZone, and I think we could probably start giving them our business, I would hope, or I'm asking, I guess.
I think that's a good point, and we'll see that we do that, Trustee Kammerer.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And I no longer have to drive to Roselle to get my oil for my car.
Right.
Good. Anything else?
Yes, I've got a question. Looks like we got two scouts. Could you come forward and state your name and tell us what badges you're going after? Unless you're here for fun.
My name is Gavin, and this is Jasper. We are here for our citizenship and the community merit badge.
And what troop are you in?
Troop 26.
Nice to have you.
Well done.
Welcome aboard. Good job, boys. Anything else? Hearing none, we'll move on to the town hall portion of the meeting. At this point, if anybody would like to address the board, please step up to the podium State your name, and then please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes.
You want to reiterate again?
3 minutes, Ray.
All right. Don't start. That was like the candidates night. I
Starting the
reviewed
timer.
everything. Well, hi, my name's Ray Danny. Good evening. Welcome. I'm pleased to be here, and good to see you all. I live at 511 Morris here in Bartlett, and 3 minutes. All right, I'll make it short. Candidates night. We had like the same thing, 3 minutes to go, and I had my wife review what I had to say, and she said you're well within the time frame. So I'm about halfway through, and all of a sudden I hear, you've got 1 minute left. And I said, oh my God. So I read it all. Nobody understood what I was saying. But the reason I wanted to be up here this evening, wanted to address Trustee Martin and Shipman. I would personally like to thank you for your service. You should be proud of your service, and I know that the Village of Bartlett appreciates your efforts and the passion that you have exhibited. During your tenure, you have faithfully served this community with competence and integrity. Your devotion and enthusiasm has been evident, and I firmly believe the Village of Bartlett is a better place today. I hope and pray that the new trustees will continue to follow this example that you have set and achieve the goals of continuing to make Bartlett better. Again, gentlemen, thank you for your service, and remember, progress with pride. And that was less than 3 minutes. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
John McGuire, 343 Sundance. I also would like to thank both Trustee Shipman and Trustee Martin. For both of you, you've shown the service, courage, and dedication necessary to have a successful board to the residents of Bartlett. You are both leading as role models for the new trustees. One who has trouble telling time, but Ray, I think both you and Austin, or Adam, that both of you will find two real good role models who told you or showed you what it's like. You know, the real work now begins for you two. Getting elected was easy. The real job starts next time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Samantha Parkhurst, and we live on 569 Ivory Lane. I'm here for two reasons. The first one is to say thank you very much. And Paula, are you here? I see that we are moving on with the Spalding Road quiet zone for the trains, and I cannot thank you enough for being part of this and getting this moving, because our community really appreciates this. We understand trains are a huge source of income for lots of people, but the noise is just overbearing, and I appreciate all the time that you're putting in helping us do this. So thank you. The second thing I'd like to ask, and I'm speaking on behalf of my neighbors that live on Rose. This is my son, Zachary. Say hi. Hi. Okay. Little kids in our area on Rose, and I don't have a map with me, but Rose is a long street. People tend to speed down that road, and I know that they've had the speed traps in there with the machines that the police put out. But where Topaz comes up, and it meets like a T, Topaz, can we consider putting a stop sign in that area and make it a three-way? And my friend who isn't here tonight, she lives right at the top of that T. She's got a little boy, and she can't go outside, or she can't let him go outside and do anything because she's afraid of the traffic. And we have people that go through fast. They speed. We know it. It happens. But for a safety aspect, when little kids like this are outside, we'd appreciate if you could consider putting a stop sign, three-way, and maybe even one down at where Ivory meets Rose, because it'll stop the fast traffic. And there's a bunch of kids. He's in second grade. We've got a couple kindergartners in our area, and we'd really appreciate if you can consider putting a stop sign in a couple of those spots for us, please.
Thank you. Chief, you know where she's talking about?
I do, and we'll research that in our area.
Perfect.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Zachary.
Kudos on the suit to Zachary, too.
Yeah.
He's actually
Very
better
nice.
dressed than some of our trustees.
Just showing up the mayor. Yeah. Get the Garcia going today.
Even the doctor was tied today, so.
In honor of you guys. In honor of
Mr. Place?
Good evening. Gary Pleiss, 128 South Hickory. Two things I wanted to first express some thank you to Public Works. Have been very good at coming out. We had flooding issues in the street when we had some of these recent rains, and I called, and within a couple hours that was cleared out. The drain was working again, so we're pleased with the responsiveness that with which they showed up. I have another item that I wanted to talk about. I notice on the agenda you're discussing the municipal electricity tax, utility tax. And while I understand that that's talking about reducing that tax, and I don't mean to dismiss the idea that any tax ought to be reduced. I love to see a tax reduced. But I wanted to point out a difference. There's two utility taxes. We have an electric utility tax, and we obviously also have a gas utility tax. Now, we've done a little bit of research on our own bills as they've come in, and I have 35 months worth of incoming bills. For those 35 months, our electric taxes that we paid over that entire course amounted to $43.58. Or about $1.25 a month, approximately. During that same 35 months, we paid $262.69 in gas taxes, or $7.51 a month. The difference there being that the electric calculates out to be about 0.0029 cents per kilowatt hour, whereas the tax on gas is 5 cents per therm. And it really adds up. And that's the one that irks. So I would love to see some consideration given to doing something about that gas tax, because that's the one that really burns. Thanks.
No pun intended, right?
No pun intended.
Thank you, Mr. Place. Would anybody else like to address the board at this time?
Pat Kelly, 1009 Bentley. I would like to thank Trustee Shipman and Trustee Martin for all their dedication to the community of Bartlett. I had the honor of being on the board with you for a short time, so I saw firsthand how much time and effort you did put into the community. And as a longtime village resident, I'm very happy to have you both on the board doing what you needed to keep our community going forward. I'm sure our new trustees will do the same, but thank you both very much for all you've done for our community.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat. Anybody else like to address the board at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to the standing committee reports. The next item on the agenda is standing committee reports, the first of which is the Planning and Zoning Committee with Trustee Kammerer.
Thank you, President Wallace. There are three items this evening under the Planning and Zoning Committee, the third of which has been under the consent agenda, so we won't be dealing with that. But the first is a rear yard variation at 845 Marina Terrace West. The petitioners Thomas Perkins Jr. and Amy Colley are requesting a 10-foot variation from the required 45-foot rear yard in order to build a one-story, three-season sunroom in the location of an existing wood deck. The proposed sunroom location would allow the existing gable roof to be extended over the sunroom. After the proposed addition, the impervious surface ratio would be 38%, which complies with the 40% maximum impervious surface ratio for a lot of this size. A public hearing was held on the variation petition on April 2nd, and the Zoning Board of Appeals recommended approval. This matter was before the Committee of the Whole on May 6th and was sent on to the Village Board for final vote. Therefore, I move to approve Ordinance 2015-24. An ordinance granting a 10-foot rear yard variance for 845 Marina Terrace West as presented.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Kammerer, seconded by Trustee Ranke. Is there any discussion? I didn't see any negative comments in the commission's questions, and there weren't any people at the hearing that I...
That's correct.
Okay. Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes?
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Next item under Planning and Zoning is the petition of Kimberly Polly for a 5-foot variation from the required 70-foot rear yard to construct a 16-foot by 17.5-foot open-sided attached canopy on the rear of the house located at 966 Pimlimco Lane. Including the proposed canopy, the impervious surface ratio would be 21%, which complies with the 30% maximum for a lot this size. A public hearing on the variation petition was held on April 2nd, and the Zoning Board of Appeals recommended approval. I therefore move to approve Ordinance 2015-25, an ordinance granting a rear yard variance for 966 Pimlimco Lane as presented.
Second.
It's moved by Trustee Kammer, seconded by Trustee Carbonaro. The clerk please call the... Or is there any discussion on this one? I didn't see any comments on that either. Any discussion? Sure. I heard him first. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
That motion carries.
And being that our last item was under the consent agenda, we are finished under Planning and Zoning. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Chairman Kammer. Next item we have on the agenda is under Building Committee, Chairman Martin. Your last chance to give us some... No, I'm just kidding.
Do we get the reports in for that new tunnel? No. I have no report this evening. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. Next item on our agenda is under Finance and Golf Committee, Chairman Ranky.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have two items this evening. We have the 2015-2016 budget adoption resolution and the electric utility tax amendment ordinance. With regards to the budget adoption resolution, I'll turn that over to staff.
Thank you, Trustee Ranky. After the budget reviews that we have held on March 3rd, March 17th, and April 7th, during committee reviews, the final budget as proposed is $61,842,880, and we are recommending, along with the public hearing that was conducted on March 17th, that the board approve this.
If I recall from our previous budget discussions, I did ask a couple of questions, and I was looking for a little bit more information on a couple of items. Do we have that information this evening?
Relative to the Northwest Conference and the DuPage Mayor Managers, no, we don't have that. We're putting together the information. We do have the money in the budget, but certainly when we get that in a few weeks, if the board wants to change anything in terms of dropping out, you still have the opportunity to do that. I think the other question that you had asked was relative to our attorney who does our zoning tows for us and our expanded projects, and the hourly rate is the same. There was no change in the hourly rate. It is, what was his? $150 an hour. And there was a question if there would be some difference in rate when we had our tow hearings as well as our other hearings that we have now expanded into. I think those were the two items that you had asked after the last meeting. Am I correct?
And I believe there was another item Trustee Shipman raised regarding the lobbyist.
And we have called the lobbyist and indicated that we would like him to come to one of our meetings in the near future.
And we just got an email this week about...
Yeah, and I saw that, and I don't want to take words out of your mouth, but I was completely unimpressed with that. $2,000 a month for that digest that we get for free, or not for free. We pay $22,000 some dollars to DuPage mayors and managers in the Northwest Municipal
As well as the Municipal League that does a pretty good job of doing that.
So we get essentially the same work product. and I have concerns about that.
Well, we'll continue to talk about it. There's other things that we call him on a regular basis relative to lobbying issues. So I don't think it is simply the product that he sends, once a month. We do have some lobbying efforts, and we try to track those so you understand how much we're using him. But I still think it's a good thing to look at.
Right, and it would be a nice thing to have within the context of the budget. If we're building this into the budget, that's a lot of money.
It would seem to me at this time that if we've decided not to cut that, or if it's still in the budget and it's okay with the rest of the trustees, then it's dropped for right now.
That's fine.
Do any of the other trustees have an objection to this membership?
You're talking about the membership, or you're talking about the lobbyist?
I'm talking about are you talking about the membership or the lobbyist right now?
Think both.
Talking about both.
About both?
And I think we already passed the membership issue, but if you want to go back there, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, let's talk about the membership. Are there any trustees that object to the membership?
But we don't have the information to fully analyze that issue, which is my point. And it's not the first time I've asked.
Okay. And I'm sorry.
So and then your statement with regards to the lobbyist issue, what was your statement there?
My statement there as far as the lobbyist goes is we've reduced this down from $70,000 a year and more than that. And I'm right now happy with what we're paying him to keep eyes and ears open for the Village of Bartlett.
Well, I appreciate
unbiased eyes and ears. We have state representatives, Senate and House, but I think they have a lot of people to think about. I like to think we have somebody that's there just for us.
Does he give you a lot of information?
Mm-hmm.
He does?
Yeah.
You talk to?
Don't you ever read it in your packet?
I read it all the time, Trustee Ahrens.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's helpful information.
I think it's good that you bring this up, but it's going to be voted on here in a few minutes. So if somebody's
Well, and I did bring it up previously, and it hasn't been fully addressed.
Well, not to your satisfaction.
Right.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I know in the past the lobbyist has saved us a lot of money. Can you reiterate?
I think that would be a good idea.
2 or 3 things that he's done in the past, say, 3 years.
Well, sure. I mean, the most recent thing we've had him lobbying on is relative to the potential cuts to our revenue stream. There have been issues. Every year there's a list from the conferences about proposals down there, and we identify the ones that are going to impact us most strongly and call him up and ask him to lobby on those issues.
Yeah, I feel some obligation to chime in on this because I was the one who brought it up most recently, but I've brought it up before. And I think I can summarize it in this because after tonight my opinion isn't as important. And that is that for me, the amount of money that we spend on this lobbyist, it just doesn't feel like we're getting enough back. Now, I recognize we get some information that comes through staff as emails, and from time to time there's been some things where he has told us about some type of programs or something, but it's a horrible communication breakdown, and I don't want to blame staff on that. I'm not suggesting that's where it's at. But if he's doing this work for us, from my perspective, over the last 4 years, I haven't seen it. And I think that's kind of what Trustee Ranke's saying. Now, maybe, also Trustee Ahrens has been on the board a fair amount longer, and she's been aware of this. Maybe it's a matter of maybe we shop around lobbyists. Maybe we don't need a lobbyist. Maybe the IML and some of these other organizations do this work for us. That's kind of all. That was the point that I was trying to bring up back when we were discussing this in the budget. I don't want to prolong this meeting or the vote on this budget any more than that, just to make those comments.
Is there a group down in Springfield that, say we let the lobbyists go, and a year later we say, geez, we really need someone, lobbyist on call?
We could look around for that. I think you make a good point,
Are you suggesting McLobbyist?
No, I'm not. I'm suggesting if we did let this lobbyist go, and then something came up a year from now, and we need some influence in Springfield, do we have to start shopping again, or is there, they take it case by case, or we would call this guy again, or how would that work?
I'm sure if we wanted to call him, he would represent the Village of Bartlett in the future.
Okay. Has he given us any other breakdown ever, well, if it was a case by case and you just want to use me for this one thing?
Actually, we've asked for that a couple of different times, and they don't work that way. He has cut his monthly rate twice for us, if you'll recall, when we had asked for it, because the reason we started with the lobbyist was many years ago when we were working on that school issue, and we used him a lot. And so I think it's a good point to look at him. I had recommended a few years ago that we actually cut him because our needs had changed drastically. And as Trustee Ranke points out, we do have other organizations who are doing a lot of those same things. The board at the time felt it was nice and in some ways critical to be able to call someone up and have him over there lobbying, and particularly for us. But they all work on a set fee.
And how do you feel about cutting him now?
I beg your pardon?
If we cut him now, how would you feel?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, and then the one final matter is I understand that there's a 2% salary increase as part of the budget. Is that also true?
And that's for non-union only.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay. I'll entertain away.
It jumped a little early
raising
there.
the flag or what?
Go ahead.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the Resolution 2015-26, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2015-16 budget in the amount of $61,854,380.
So moved.
Second.
But he,
Moved by Trustee.
excuse me, there's no motion.
No, he entertained. Trustee Shipman moved.
Oh.
And Trustee Martin second.
Moved by Trustee Shipman, seconded by Trustee Martin. Is there any discussion now? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
No.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
No.
Shipman?
Yes. Motion carried.
Okay, the second item that we have on finance and golf is the electric utility tax amendment.
Carried.
With that, I'll turn this over to Jeff.
Okay, hold on just one second, Trustee Ranke.
I think we should vote just to be
Can you repeat the roll call for the previous vote?
Sure. Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
No.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
No.
Shipman?
Yes.
Two.
Me.
President Wallace?
Yes. That motion carries. Go ahead.
Okay, so Jeff, the electric utility tax.
Over the course of last month, in conjunction with the budget hearings, the village board has discussed the possibility of reducing the municipal electric utility tax. During our discussions of the budget, we determined that there were $314,000 worth of savings or cuts that we went through and eliminated as part of the budget process. So this ordinance that you have before you is an ordinance to reduce the electric utility tax by $300,000. Within the ordinance itself, I'll point out to page 2, item 14-2-3. What we've essentially done here is taken all the rates, and these rates are dictated by state statute, and we've reduced those rates by all kilowatt-hour tiers by 50%. So we've determined that this reduction will indeed reduce the electric utility tax by $300,000.
Thank you. I move to approve ordinance 2015-27, an ordinance amending Title 14, Chapter 2, Section 14-2-3 of the Bartlett Municipal Code to lower the municipal electricity use tax.
Second.
It's moved by Trustee Ranke, seconded by Trustee Martin. Is there any discussion?
I would just say that I echo Mr. Pleiss' comments that I would really like to see us go further on this, but I recognize that we've got some pressure from down in Springfield and we've got to be careful about cutting revenues at this time. But I'm going to vote for this, and hopefully we'll do even more next year.
I think that's a prudent way to go about it as far as a stage. I think we dug really pretty deep into this budget, and I think it's an excellent move to get us started.
I think it's a rare opportunity for a governmental body to be able to give back to the public.
Right.
I mean, how often does that happen? It's a rarity. I'm happy to be involved with something like that. So.
That's it. Any other discussion?
Yes. I would really like to vote yes for this, but it's just not enough. I have asked specifically for the gas utility tax to be reduced because it's the bigger portion. I don't want to vote for this, but I'm afraid if I don't vote for it, it's not going to pass, and then the taxpayers will end up with nothing. We had 3 years ago a $500,000 to $700,000 deficit in the budget. We passed a $1.6 million utility tax. That's a $900,000 per year slush fund. It's not just for 1 year, it's not for 2 years, it's been 3 years. That's $2.7 million. I think we have enough to give the taxpayers back half of the gas utility tax. As one of the residents had stated today, it's the bigger portion of the tax. That's the one that hurts. So I guess I'm going to have to vote for it because I'm not sure if it's going to pass. Otherwise, the taxpayers will end up with nothing.
Any other discussion?
Well, just to calm Vince down a little, when I first asked if they could look at this, I said small steps, and this is a good small step. I won't be here next year, so figure out how to make another small step and make it on that one, Vince. This is a good thing.
It's a start, but it's not
It's
enough.
a start.
Anything else?
It's not enough.
Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes. That motion carries.
Well, we have one more item, Mr. President, the sale of the 2015 IRB volume cap. Was that on the consent?
It is on consent, sir.
Good. All right. Thank you. We have nothing more for finance and golf this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Ranky. Next item on our agenda is under License and Ordinance Committee, Chairman Carbonaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only item I have was covered under the consent agenda, so I have nothing else to add.
Thank you, Chairman Carbonaro. Next item on our agenda is Police and Health Committee, Chairman Shipman.
Thank you, Mayor. We have only one item under the Police and Health Committee this evening, something that absolutely should have been placed on consent agenda, but I wasn't about to give up the opportunity to talk and to put the chief on the spot. Amen. So, Chief Williams, will you please, in a truncated version, explain to us about the authorization to sell property on eBay?
Yeah, this is an ongoing tradition we've been doing for several years now, where we found a lot of luck where we can take our used vehicles and put them on an eBay auction. And what we found is it tends to trend up for more money for the village, for the general fund. So I would recommend that we continue in that tradition. And we have 7 vehicles that have been opted out of our fleet through the upcoming budget. And so we would recommend that we again use the eBay process.
Any chance that's enough money to rebate the gas tax? I had to ask.
Don't poke the sleeping bear.
Any questions from the members of the board for the chief on the eBay auctions? If not, I would move to approve ordinance 2015-30.
Second.
Stand by. An ordinance authorizing the use of eBay auctions for the sale of surplus property owned by the Village of Bartlett.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Shipman, seconded by Trustee Carbonaro. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes. And that is all for Police and Health Committee from this chairman, Your Honor.
Thank you, Chairman Shipman. Final committee report this evening is Public Works Committee, Chairman Ahrens.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our first agenda item is the 2015 concrete replacement bid project. The bid award is to Concrete Construction Incorporated. We have a budget of $70,000. Their bid came in at $67,680. At this time, I would move the village board approve resolution 2015-31 for the 2015 concrete replacement project in the amount of $67,680 to Concrete Construction Incorporated, St. Charles, Illinois.
So moved.
Second.
Or second. You assume.
It's moved by Trustee Aaron, seconded by Trustee Kammerer. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Kammerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Our second agenda item is the 2015-16 salt purchase. And Dan, you have some news about that?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Aaron's. I just wanted we found out today from DuPage County that IDOT is going to allow us to use MFT funds for this. So the only change will be that the fund that will be utilized is MFT funds rather than general funds.
Okay. As you stated, that instead of coming out of the general fund, we'll be able to use our MFT funds. I do want to commend you and your staff again. So proud of Bartlett that we always have our streets cleaned and you can drive from town to town and you know the minute you enter Bartlett. So good job for the whole winter, and hopefully we won't be seeing the salt trucks out again.
Ever.
I move the village board award the purchase of bulk road salt for a total delivered price of $105,660 to Morton Salt Incorporated.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Aaron, second by Trustee Shipman. Will the clerk, or do we have any discussion?
Actually, I'd like to ask Dan.
Oh.
We had 2,600 tons of salt left, right? How much salt are we buying per year? Tonnage.
This year we purchased 3,600 tons.
3,600. So,
but we had, if you remember, previous winter we used quite a bit of salt, so we had the stock up basically. Right now we have a good stock of salt because of the relatively mild winter that we had this year. So we're in good shape going into next winter. Hopefully we won't have to use any more this year.
well, that becomes the question that I'm thinking of here is that we start off with 2,600. We're going to buy 3,000 tons. Is that what I'm reading here, right? So now we're going to have 5,600 tons of salt, which obviously is a substantial stockpile of salt that we'll be paying for, that we hope we don't have to use, but do we really need that much salt?
The answer is yes.
Well, I mean, it isn't a bad winter. I understand that.
Yeah,
but you know,
in the past,
let
when we
Dan
run
answer
out,
that.
then it's a lot higher, and you don't want to be in that position.
well, that may be the case, but just curious about that.
What we will be doing, this current contract that's up tonight is for a locked-in 1,500 tons. The 1,500 tons that we will be proposing, we won't get those numbers, I don't believe, until like August through the state. That will have an 80% to 120. So we'll be able to, depending on what the winter's like, we'll be able to dial it up or down with a little bit of play on how much salt we actually need based on how the winter comes. This one will actually be delivered at the beginning of winter, this DuPage County contract. The state one will be utilized throughout the winter based on how winter is.
But more than likely, that other 1,500 is going to cost at least as much as the first 1,500. Yeah. So another 100,000.
And if they run out of room, they can put it in their backyard.
Impervious surface.
All right.
It doesn't go bad,
A big
so I
old
mean,
salt
having
lake.
it in storage, you can always carry it over to the next year.
How many cups is in a ton of salt?
That's not as good as the shower.
Yeah.
All right.
No, don't be that good.
Is there any other discussion? Thank you, Trustee Cameron. Is there any other discussion about the salt?
I just remember, I think it was our first year when we were on, salt was a hot commodity because there was a lot of snow, and then everyone ran out, and I think we were mixing with sand. So we don't want to be in that position again if you can help it. And they were charging a lot more than the usual price. Buy it when it's cheap.
Buy low, sell high.
Hearing no other discussion, can the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Camera?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes. Motion carries.
And that's it for the Public Works Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Ahrens. At this point, we're down to new business. Does anyone on the board have any new business to address? I have some old business to address. Indeed.
Different category.
Indeed. Okay, hearing none, I'll move on to question and answer. This is where we'll move down these other proclamations, or recognitions, I guess they're termed. Closest, so you got to go first. Again, thank you, folks, for recognizing their service that came up and spoke about trustees. We all know it's a pretty thankless job sometimes, but it's rewarding at the same time, and I'm honored to read these for you, too, both. Proclamation thanking Gregory Martin for his service to the Village of Bartlett. Whereas the Village of Bartlett has benefited from the hard work and commitment of Trustee Greg Martin during his time on the Village Board, and whereas Trustee Martin was elected in April of 2011 and immediately showed his readiness to confront the tough issues and work collaboratively for the betterment of our community, and whereas Greg is a veteran whose service on the board of the Bartlett Veterans Memorial Foundation and work with the local VFW and American Legion post helped forge a strong connection between the village and its large and active veteran community, especially in regard to the construction of the memorial. And whereas Trustee Martin's tenure on the board may have been short in years, it was long on the new perspective and enthusiasm for the work at hand that he brought to each meeting. And whereas his steady leadership and guidance as chairman of the building committee helped the village successfully navigate many economic and modern-day challenges while keeping it on a positive course for the future. Now, therefore, we hereby proclaim our many thanks to Trustee Gregory Martin for his service and dedication to our village and offer him our very best wishes. Thank you, brother.
I can go after or before, it doesn't matter.
Why don't you go now, and then we'll... Okay. It's all yours.
3 minutes. 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
I got it down to 30, I'm sorry. I can't say it's all been fun, but it's been a learning experience, and I'm proud to have served. So I made a little list. The top 12 things I learned as village trustee. Number 1, flexibility in thinking and the facts are almost all you need to make a good decision. But when in doubt, order a traffic study. Number 2, we are here to support the civic organizations and our local businesses, not with a blank check, but sometimes with a check. These all add to and enhance our community and bring us together. Number 3, in the winter, salt is king. Number 4, without a doubt, for our size, we have the best police department in Illinois. When other police departments come and my friend said don't use the word spy, but the chief used that word spy to scope out what we're doing for National Night Out and other things. That tells you something. We're a standard. Congratulations. I mean, you've a well-run organization. Number 5, no matter how much money in taxes we raise, save or cut, it still doesn't affect our pension. And for the record, we don't get a pension. That's the joke. Number 6, as a business owner, It's rare to find a hard worker with loyalty, honor, and good morale. When you find one with these traits, you hire them. Our administration staff and our department heads find and cultivate village employees with these traits. This is a major asset to our village. This is one reason our village is run so well. Protect this asset. Number 7, it is 10 times easier to tear down an idea than to build something new or different. Number 8, the 5 S's. Trustees, we serve and we have to give the community the 5 S's. 1 is service, 2 is sanitation, 3 is streets, 4 is safety, and I forget what the 5th one is. Number 9, always try nice first. If that doesn't work, release Valerie. She's our ace in the hole. That's a compliment. Number 10, as my friend Trustee Nolan once told me, if you vote with the best interest for Bartlett and its residents, regardless of the outcome, you can always go home with your head held high knowing you did your job. And I hope that carries on. Number 11, when I look out into the audience before a meeting and I don't see any pitchforks, I realize no matter what happens, the meeting can't go that bad. Number 12, no matter what brought you here or motivated you to run for office, I believe everyone here serves Bartlett with its best interests and future at heart. This is a good thing. Take care of my village. God bless Bartlett. God bless America.
Thank you, Trustee Martin. Next, we have a proclamation thanking Eric Shipman for his service to the Village of Bartlett. Whereas the Village of Bartlett has benefited from the hard work and commitment of Trustee Eric Shipman during his time on the Village Board, and whereas Eric was elected as a trustee in 2011 and has offered his thoughtful viewpoint to the Village Board for the last 4 years, meeting every issue with careful consideration and common sense. And whereas Trustee Shipman's professional expertise was a valuable contribution to the Police and Health Committee, which he chaired during his tenure, and helped Bartlett's ongoing effort to keep our municipal government both responsible and responsive to the Bartlett residents. And whereas Eric, a graduate of the FBI Academy during his tenure, often brought a larger world view to the Village Board, sharing with his fellow trustees and staff a broad national and regional perspective on public safety. And whereas his steady leadership and guidance helped the village successfully navigate many economic and modern-day challenges while maintaining a positive course for the future. Now, therefore, we hereby proclaim our many thanks to Trustee Eric Shipman for his service and dedication to our village and offer him our very best wishes.
I really don't have anything to say. Yeah, right. The temptation was to write something long-winded that talked about what I thought the board should do and where they should go and the visions for the future and some of those things. And quite frankly, that's up to you guys now. So I won't do that. And I promised myself I'd keep this under 3 minutes, and I failed miserably, so bear with me.
You're not dying, by the way. You can still tell us what your opinion is.
Yes, yes, and I intend to. 4 years ago, while campaigning for a seat on this esteemed board, my campaign manager would often say to me, "Stay out and knock on those extra few doors tonight. Imagine how disappointed you'll be if you were to lose this election by just 1 vote." Thank you for the advice and the friendship, Austin. It's that 1 vote. Each person in our country is assured their 1 vote. No matter your gender, your profession, your income, your religion, your heritage, or any of the other human variables,
So long as you are a citizen of this country and at least 18 years old, you get one vote. The vote is the great equalizer. You give your vote to the candidate, the slate, or the initiative you feel most worthy. Just the same as every other citizen. Even our president gets just one vote. Once impaneled, I still had just that one vote. Sometimes I voted in the majority, sometimes in the minority, and on at least a few occasions, completely alone. But I had my vote. It's the one thing each of us on this board share in common, and because of it, we have exactly the same influence. Some of the votes on issues were significant: flood control, paving, ash tree removal, and of course, like tonight, the annual budget. There are still very important votes ahead, though: water supply, the downtown TIF, and Route 59 improvements, to name only a few. I encourage our residents to step up and voice their opinions on these important matters. I'm proud of the votes that I cast and the work we did on this board. Many times the work may have seemed routine to a casual observer, but every issue had its impact on someone or a group of people or a business. I truly believe that in just about every case, the members of this board got it right with our votes. But I cannot take credit for the things that were achieved in this community over the last 4 years. The credit for Bartlett's success lies with the residents and the people who make up Bartlett. Please allow me a moment to recognize some of them who supported me. First and foremost, I want to thank my family. My father, who passed while I was in office, always gave me the sage advice I needed. Hope I made you proud. To Mom, Linda, and Mark, thanks for putting up with the son and the little brother who never seemed to have much free time for the family. So instead, you made time in your schedules for me. Thank you to Colin for being a great son and supporter, even while living 2,000 miles away. I'm so happy you're here tonight and very, very proud of the man you're becoming. To my good friends Melissa and Michael, thanks for being my sounding board and a source of sensibility. I sometimes needed the perspective of people who didn't know any of the issues or any of the people involved. And through that virtuousness, you offered me meaningful advice, maybe without even knowing it. To Julie, thank you for always being my rock, especially when I needed it most. Who you are and what you've done mean more to me than I can express. I want to thank others that I've had the pleasure to serve with as well. The members of this current board came together despite some controversy and the efforts of detractors. Mayor Wallace, thank you for your leadership. I appreciate your willingness to work with me on issues. I will continue to give you my support and gratitude for your service. To Trustee Ranke, I feel we built a good alliance. I learned much from you. It was nice to have someone sitting next to me who has the same sense of humor as I do. We made each other laugh, sometimes at the most inappropriate of moments. To Lorna Gillis, you were there to accept my nominating petitions, and every time after that, you always greeted me with a smile. To Brian Mraz, thank you for your counsel and for your willingness to dumb things down so even I could understand what you had written. To Trustee Carbonaro, I will miss your phone calls and your tireless efforts to find a new way to save the residents money. To Trustees Kammerer and Ahrens, thank you for your service and your strong sense of community. I should also like to thank some of the other elected officials that I worked with us. To my friends who are about to become trustees, Ray Daney and Adam Hopkins, you are about to embark on an amazing, sometimes frustrating, but very rewarding journey. Serving our community at this level is the purest form of democracy in our country, perhaps in the world. We are the elected voice of our neighbors, friends, and co-workers, for the people at our church, the local business owner, and everyone who just travels through town. We are the direct connection to their local government. The decisions we make have an impact, immediate impact. When you speak for those constituents, choose your words and your vote wisely. To my friends, neighbors, co-workers, and supporters, thank you. You were the ones who encouraged me to seek elected office. You were the ones who walked door to door with me. You were the ones who offered financial support to help make my little campaign for office the success that it was. You were also the ones who stood with me throughout this journey. To those who disagreed with me, I also say thank you. You offered another point of view, an alternative, or sometimes what became motivation for me to persist. And that's what's important in our system of governance. Although we did not always agree on issues, it is critical that you understand this. As a law enforcement officer and an American citizen, I will vigorously defend your right to disagree with me. Our country's founding fathers believed the right to free speech to be so important that they made it the very first amendment to our Constitution. Some words to the trustees that I served with previously. Frank Napolitano, wherever you are, who is now on the College of DuPage board, I'm sure you will bring the conservative financial policies to that board you showed here. It certainly seems they can use them. Dennis Nolan, thank you for modeling statesmanship. I learned how to act while on the dais from you. You always exhibit a calm and professional demeanor. To Pat Kelly, you brought a fresh perspective to the board. You volunteered to serve knowing full well what it meant to your life and that of your community. Despite that, you were not afraid to tackle an issue. You never ran from a fight, and all the while you did it with grace and poise. I will always consider you a friend and a confidant. To Greg Martin, my campaign partner. On the campaign trail, you were the best sign guy Marty Wallace and I could ever ask for. And we consider you a friend. You stood up to issues and always offered your voice to people who otherwise might not have been heard. Your ideas were fresh and always very original. I salute your service and sacrifice. To Mayor Michael Erdo and Lori, thank you for your support, counsel, and friendship over the many years. It was a pleasure and an honor to sit next to Michael and serve with him on this board. You taught me how to listen, just as the Dalai Lama says, when you are talking, you are saying what you already know. But when you listen, you may learn something. From you, Michael, I learn much. You always have my friendship, support, and respect. To Supervisor Brian McGuire, I also offer thanks for your support and friendship. You consistently display initiative, collaboration, and ingenuity in governing that more public bodies should pay attention to. Douglas MacArthur said, "A true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. He does not set out to be a leader, but becomes one by the equality of his actions and the integrity of his intent." Please continue to lead, Brian. I would be remiss if I failed to mention that none of the accomplishments of this board or that of the elected officials would be at all possible without the people who truly make this village run, the employees. They are the face of local government. They are the public works employees who keep the streets clear of snow, clean water running from the tap, the public spaces looking good, and thankfully, the toilets flushing like they should. They are the staff at the golf course, constantly finding new ways to save a buck and raise some revenue in what has become a very competitive business. They are the good folks working with Jim and Bob, ensuring the community grows reasonably, safely, and in the right direction. They are the people working with Paula and Jeff to coordinate the efforts of so many other people, making sure our employees are given a fair compensation and ensure that the village's fiduciary responsibility to our residents is met. They are my favorite ladies at the front desk in Village Hall. Truly the face and voice of Bartlett, doing an outstanding job every day. I may find reasons to continue to call Village Hall just to chat. They are Scott Strickey, described as true blue Bartlett, and one of the most sincere people I've ever met. Scott, I suspect we may all be working for you one day. They are, of course, my brothers and sisters in blue. Working nights, weekends, holidays, and everything in between. Led by Chief Williams, Deputy Chiefs Lonis and Ulrich, and the finest commanders and sergeants anywhere, these dedicated men and women give Bartlett residents the sense of safety and security they deserve with the professionalism and pride in their work. I am honored to consider you peers. Be safe, warriors. To Valerie Salmons, you have been a professional in every way. Knowledgeable, responsive, tolerant, and kind, you answered my questions, fulfilled even my silliest requests, and are the leader of the Village Hall ship. Please persevere and continue to make sure the great people who work for the Village of Bartlett are one of the best things for the people who live in the Village of Bartlett. It is the staff, the employees who help the residents. It is the residents, the schools, the churches, the fire district, the sports teams, the library, the community groups, and the local businesses who make Bartlett such a great place to live. So, tonight I will leave this dais, this respected hall, and this chapter of my service to others with so much more than I came here with. I will leave with memories of hard work, of great successes, and of difficult lessons learned. I will leave with new friends. I will rejoin with old ones. I will leave with the knowledge that I use my vote with honor, respect, and dignity, and always with the best intentions of the people of Bartlett at the forefront. Thank you.
Well said, Mr. Shipman. With that, we are at the end of our meeting, and I have to make an announcement. There will be an executive session for deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees pursuant to Section 2C2 of the Open Meetings Act, directly following the Committee of the Whole meeting this evening. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Kammer, seconded by Trustee Shipman. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Burr? Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Shipman?
Yes.